So good morning, everyone, and Shavua Tov. Thank you very much for joining us today. And today we are going to learn about our Parsha. We're going to talk a bit about different personalities, specifically two different personalities, and about the way that I would say it's also two ways of behavior that we can find. And we also will speak about Rabbi Akiva and a few other great Torah scholars, such as Ben Azai and a few others, and they will teach us about the right way to interact with the world. Also, it's interesting because we are coming close to Pesach, and on Pesach we know that we drink the 4 cups. We drink 4 cups of wine, and when we drink these 4 cups of wine, in our parsha we can notice that wine isn't something that that's allowed for the Kohanim, for the priests that worked in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Holy Temple. They were not allowed to drink while they were doing the service, bringing the offerings, etc. So there's something here about the approach of Judaism that we'll talk about. And on the one hand, we see that wine is something good, and that's why Ein Simcha ela b'basar v'yayin, which means when it comes the time of celebration, when we approach holidays, when we approach Chol HaMoed, Pesach, for example, that's coming up, it says that every single day we are supposed to have a revius of wine. A revius of wine is approximately 86 milliliters of wine, and that is what causes the simcha, the happiness and joy that we are supposed to celebrate. But then on the one hand, again, in our Parsha, Parshas Achrei Mos, we can notice that wine isn't suggested for Kohanim and it's forbidden. And this all starts from a story of Nadav and Avihu. Nadav and Avihu, we learned about it also in Parshas Shmini several Parshas ago. Nadav and Avihu were both sons of Aharon. Aharon was the high priest, the brother of Moshe. He had 4 sons. 2 of them died while they were young. Not only while they were young, but the Torah tells us, and the Midrashim explain with more details, that Nadav and Avihu, these 2 sons of Aharon, they basically went into the Mishkan, into the tabernacle, and they went and brought onto the altar. They brought the incense that they shouldn't have brought. They brought it in the wrong time. They brought it without the proper clothes. You know that the high priest, and not only the high priest, but also the rest of the priests, they basically had special clothes. And that was the right manner to walk into the, whatever it is, if it's the Holy Temple or the Tabernacle, whatever, both. Basically, there's a way to do it. And they walked in without clothes. And not only that, but there's something about their personality that wasn't complete. And we'll talk about it in a moment. They were not married. They had no children. And this is all what the Midrash tells us. When they brought this incense that they shouldn't have brought, what happened was that fire came out of the Mizbeach, out of the altar, and killed them. And that's how they died. And we might think that these 2 sons of Aaron were bad people. They were big sinners. They didn't do what Hashem wanted them to do. They went off the right way. But no, it's very interesting. Moshe Rabbeinu, after the story, he goes and he comforts his brother Aharon. And when he comforts his brother, he tells him that, your two sons are so great. They're even greater than me and you. And how do I know that they are so great? Because I had a feeling, and not only a feeling, but we know that this is something that whenever we get a high revelation of godliness in the world, what happens is that someone is got to pay for it. Someone's got to pay for it, and this is like some kind of automatic result that when Hashem reveals himself, there are those that are harmed by it. There are those that make a certain sacrifice in order for Hashem to reveal himself more in the world. And this is not only something that happened there and then. So there and then we were talking about the building of the Mishkan. The temporary temple basically was the first time that Hashem actually comes down to the world and he rests in the world. What Hashem is basically saying is that from now onwards, you'll be able to meet me in this tabernacle. So that is bringing and revealing God in a physical, in a certain way. It's a bit physical because it's in a space, it's in a time. There are certain times when we bring the offerings. So we are bringing Hashem down here to the world. And this is something that comes with a certain cost. And we know that the story of the Mishkan is that there was a fire. There was a fire that came down and rested on the altar to show that Hashem is actually resting here and revealing himself to Am Yisrael, to the Jewish people. So this comes with a certain cost. And Moshe tells Aharon, I was positive, I was convinced that the cost would be me and you. Rechavia Kodesh, with the people that are closest to me, I will become holy. That's what Hashem says. I will become holy with the people that are closest to me. And Moshe says, you know what? I thought the people that are closest to Hashem, the people that will do this sacrifice, and they would basically pay the cost of Hashem revealing himself here in the world, is me and you, Moshe and Aaron. But now I noticed that there are two people that are greater than me and you. And those people are your sons, Nadav and Avihu. It's very interesting, but if we look through the timeline of the history of Am Yisrael, so on certain dates and on certain times where Am Yisrael enjoyed when Am Yisrael enjoyed a great revelation of godliness, sometimes it came also with a big cost. And also it's interesting because they speak about it in actually not long ago. There is in the discourse of Hasidus and in the Hasidic books, there's quite a few levels of secrets of the Torah. So there's the Tanya, for example, the foundation of everything. And then there are many other books that were published throughout the years, which are based on Hasidic discourses that the Rebbes used to give over, the Rebbes used to say. And there is one Hasidic discourse, a Ma'amar Hasidut, that is from the Rebbe Rashab, who was the Rebbe of Chabad, which is called Hemshech Tov Reish Ayin Beis, which is a series of Ma'amarim where the Rebbe Rashab gave them over on Tov Reish Ayin Beis would be 5,672. That's the year. And in the English date, it would be 19. 1912. 1912. That's when it started, and these are what's called highly classified secrets of the Torah, and it was never published in a book. It was written down, and they had a few copies, a very few copies. They never published it. And then during the year 1977, Tafshin Lamed Zayin, the Rebbe decided to publish this book. And they published the book, and right after that, 1977, at the beginning of the new Hebrew year, which is basically Tafshin Lamed Ches, 55,738. This is 1978. What happened was the Rebbe suffered from a heart attack, a very severe heart attack, and the Hasidim always connected the two together. That the fact that these highly classified secrets of Hasidut were printed, and everyone today can buy them in the stores. You can reach them in any Hasidic store. To learn them would be a different thing. It's a very complicated, or not complicated, but it's not easy Hasidic ma'amarim there in that book. But then it was a new thing to publish it and to reveal it for whoever wants to go and purchase it in the store. So that's Hasidim always used to link the two and said that because the Rebbe published the book, that's why he suffered from this heart attack. But again, because any revelation of Hashem in the world comes with a certain cost. So this is about Nadav and Avihu. So on the one hand, these people sinned, and that is why, for that reason, Hashem decides to kill them. This isn't just randomly what happened, but this is the consequence of what they did, of their sin. Their sin was, as the Torah describes, going into the altar and basically it was not meant to be bought there and then. So who is Nadav and Avihu? Who are these people? Basically, what we can find in the words of Hasidus, and this also is about Rabbi Akiva, who we'll speak about in a moment. But just before Rabbi Akiva, let's talk about our so there are various types of people, but if we roughly divide the world into two types of personalities, and the way to define them would be, there are some people that like order very much. They have a fixed schedule. They are very to the point, and they by schedule, and they need to know all the details. They need to be planned. They like to plan things. And on the other hand, there are certain people that it's hard for them. They can't have these deadlines. They need a bit more freedom. They are much more spontaneous. They achieve great things sometimes, massive, big projects, and they can't sometimes live to the schedule and go by the schedule and be limited to a specific field. Some people like to take on themselves just one job, just one specific thing, and they like to work from 8 till 4, whatever it is, from 9 till 5. And that's how they go through their lives. Everything's got to be planned. If something goes wrong and something's late by a half an hour, it's the end of the world for them. And there are others that are the opposite. They take things very easy, and they aren't as frightened of something that goes off plan. They are much more spontaneous. Now, we're not saying what is better, what is not better. Of course, you can't be extreme to both sides. Finding something in between, in the middle, is always good. And this is a law that the Maimonides brings, that when we see two kinds of habits, two kinds of traits, or of qualities, so we should never be extreme, even if it's a good quality. But if you are extreme, so sometimes that causes damage. That's why you must always take the middle path. The middle path is the guaranteed path. So these two personalities are connected to one ancient world that existed many years ago and our world today. What the Torah says, that there is Olam HaToyu and Olam HaTikun. These are concepts that are brought from Kabbalah, and they are discussed in Hasidus, where Hashem started off creating the world in a way of Tohu. Olam HaToyu, which means a world of chaos. A world that is not in order. It's not in place. A spontaneous world. A world where not everything matters, details do not matter. Keeping the exact mitzvot doesn't matter. It's more about the freedom of spirit, the freedom of doing what I feel at this moment. And that was Olam HaToyu. And this is a certain midrashim that tell us that Hashem created worlds and destroyed the worlds. And it isn't literally a physical world. There is no parallel universe. We're not talking about a parallel universe, but we are talking about a spiritual guideline to the world that we have in front of us. So when Hashem first planned the world, he said, let's create it in the way of Tohu, in a way of chaos, which is a positive chaos also. It could be a positive chaos. Let's create the world in a way where people can carry out the connection to me in the way that suits them. They can also behave between each other, with each other. They can behave in a way that suits them. And let's hope that things will go well. That is the world of Tohu. And in that world, there are many neshamot that come from that world, actually, such as the neshama of Esav. For example, Esav came from the world of Tohu. He basically did whatever he wanted. He was quite a chaotic person. And for that reason, he turned out the way he did, but not connected to Hashem. Hashem basically saw that this world, this chaotic world, isn't the right way to go, because people do not know how to, where to stop, where to put it to an end, how to really connect to Hashem, etc., etc. So for that reason, Hashem said that this plan isn't good, and instead he brought us into what's called Olam HaTikun, the fixed world, the ordered world. This world is a world of order, where there's a hierarchy, where there's got to be a government, where there are laws, where there are strict laws, and also in a spiritual way, where we have very, very detailed mitzvot. Our mitzvot are full of details. Take the night of Pesach, for example. The night of Pesach is a night that's full of details. The night of Pesach, you've got to eat the exact amount of matzah. You've got to have it. You've got to have the maror also. You've got to have a specific amount. Then you've got to take the two and make some kind of sandwich between them. Plus, you've got to drink it all leaning to your left side. So the point is that Hashem noticed that a world of chaos isn't going to work, even if it's a positive chaos, because the best way to go is the world of tikkun, where we are fixed, where we are ordered, where we know exactly what to do, how much to do, etc. So these are the two personalities, the two worlds, and we lean more towards a world of tikkun, a fixed world. Nadav and Avihu, they came from the world of toihu. They came from the world of chaos. And for that reason, they did not marry. They didn't think about the future. They did not have children. It wasn't important for them to raise another generation, to continue the future of the world. They were chaotic. And that is why, out of the blue, they were righteous people. They were great people. They loved Hashem, but they did it under their terms. They did it in their way, the way that they thought is appropriate, the way that suited them. Out of the blue, they walked into the tabernacle and they brought this incense and they offered it to Hashem. And Hashem said, it might be great. I like receiving offerings, but there's got to be an order. It's got to be in the right time, in the right place. You've got to wear the right clothes. You can't just randomly walk into my house and bring an offering. That's exactly the default. That's the problem that these two sons of Aaron had. So they were great people. Rechavia Kadosh, as Moshe Rabbeinu tells Aaron, your children are greater than me and you. They are greater than me and you, and that's why Hashem decided to kill them, because when Hashem reveals himself, someone pays the cost. And the ones that are closer, the ones that are holier, they are the ones that Hashem takes. And the reason is because they were righteous people, but they did it under their terms, in their own understanding. And we know that that what's mostly important is mitzvot, bringing the offerings, getting married, of course, having children, wearing the right clothes. This is the idea behind all of the mitzvot. And here's also an interesting story about Rabbi Akiva and about the teachings of the secrets of the Torah. The story is about Rabbi Akiva entering the paradise. Rabbi Akiva there were 4 people that started learning the secrets of the Torah, what's called paradise. The paradise of the Torah is basically the gardens of the Torah, which hint to the secrets of the Torah. 4 people started learning the secrets of the Torah, which is the Kabbalah. And learning Kabbalah, especially in those days, they learned serious stuff. They learned the hiddus, the secrets of the Torah, the highest secrets they knew and they learned, and they were able to also use it in certain times and places. But most of the people there, basically, they were harmed by learning these secrets of the Torah. For example, it says about, if I'm not mistaken, about Ben Azai. Ben Azai was one of the Tanaim. He was a great Talmid Chacham, a great scholar and a great Tana. And we learn a lot of his Mishnayos, but it says, Heitzitz v'meis, which means he peeked and he took a look at the secrets of the Torah and he died. Rabbi Akiva, it says, Nichnas b'shalom v'yatza b'shalom. Rabbi Akiva entered safely and he left safely. Rabbi Akiva, the famous Rabbi Akiva who became a Baal Tshuva at the age of 40, started everything from the age of 40, came to a point where he said he wants to learn the secrets of the Torah. And then it says that he entered peacefully and he left peacefully. And this is a very important lesson that's hidden in the words entered safely, peacefully. Because after all, taking this approach of the world of chaos might not be the ultimate way, but it's definitely an important way in life. If we would only if you'll only stick to the schedule and to the strict rules and to the details, then any small movement, any small change would cause a big problem for us, because mistakes always happen, and there are certain things that aren't dependent on us. And also, besides, it's important to live a certain dream. It's important not only to stick by the rules, but to have your own approach also connecting to Hashem. Yes, right. So you can't just randomly walk into the tabernacle, but there are other offerings that we could and we should bring, and certain projects. If the person wants to sit and learn all the night of Pesach, right? Why not? If we would only be bound to and stuck to the laws, to the strict laws, to the basic laws, then something's lacking over here. We've got to strive, and we've got to try to also bring our own personality into the connection with Hashem. And this is the way that we should approach it, because for sure it's also a person that has that sticks to a work of 8 till 4. Sometimes he needs to take a bit of air. Sometimes he needs to change his schedule a bit. Things can't be always that boring. So this world of chaos isn't total bad after all. The world of chaos has something good to it, but we've got to take the approach of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva entered safely, entered peacefully, and he left peacefully. And that was the difference between him and the other 3 friends that one of them was killed, the other one was just harmed. The 4th one, I don't remember what happened, but they didn't enter peacefully, which means entering peacefully means that you don't enter a place and then you say, well, I don't know how to leave it. That will cause a problem. You enter in a peaceful way, which means you know towards what you are going, and you know that you've got to also leave at a certain point, and that gives you the ability to actually do it properly. And this is the idea, that when we connect to Hashem, if we know that the ultimate goal is coming back to the world and coming back to order, then you can let yourself from time to time also fly in the sky, because you know that the ultimate goal is to come back down to the world. If you think that the world of chaos is the ultimate world and that's where we're supposed to be all the time, then you're never going to be able to leave the world of chaos. But if you know that entering the world of chaos means entering in a peaceful way, that you're entering, but that's not the purpose, you're going to leave, then you can also have the ability to leave. And this is, to conclude, this is a story with the wine. In our parsha, and this is something very interesting that we see that other religions, they totally stay away from certain things that seem to be bad. The Muslims, for example, they don't drink wine at all. They don't drink any alcohol. But Judaism says, you know what, you want to enter the world of chaos, enter it, but in the leave as well. That's why when it comes a time of a holiday, Pesach, special night, celebrating freedom, for sure, you should drink 4 cups. And throughout the week of Chol HaMoed, every single day, 1 cup of wine. Why? Because this is the way we celebrate freedom, the way we enjoy ourselves, the way we are happy, what causes us to be happy. According to Judaism, this is something very important, very good. But not to overdo it. It's not that we take the world of chaos and we say, this is the purpose, this is the celebration, this is what we should do all year round. No, specifically certain amount, not to overdo it, and a specific time. So thank you all for taking part in the shir this morning. And I want to wish everyone a Pesach Kasher V'Sameach. You should all enjoy Pesach. And of course, drinking wine, four cups, Leila Seder and after the Seder. And then throughout Chol HaMoed, every day, a Ravius, which is 86 milliliters. And of course, if you can. So, Shavua Tov and Chag Sameach.